Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another video, and today we are going to preview game week 3, I believe it is. We are actually currently on deadline day. It is Friday, the 30th of August, and we've got this weekend's games, some very exciting games. I'm probably going to start with the biggest of them all, and it actually comes the late kickoff on Sunday. But as always, a super Sunday. It's Manchester United versus Liverpool. And, I mean, it's a very big game early on. A big one for both teams, both sets of fans. You know, a derby. That is what we want on Super Sunday. Interesting one, really. For me, Liverpool in particular, they've won 2 games out of 2 against Ipswich and Brentford. For me, they've only played 2 good halves, I would call them. Games really a half each. I've been impressed. I don't feel they've played well for a full 90 minutes, but in both second halves, they've looked very, very good. They've started slow in both of those games, almost like they're going through the motions a little bit. Interestingly, though, they've actually had a bit of a poorer record against Ten Hag, and I do think that they may need to start quicker in this one. Man United going through the motions at the moment. It's, as I said in previous videos, it's, one good performance, one bad performance. Very, very inconsistent. It does make you wonder, if Manchester United were to lose this one at home, they'd be sitting out of a possible 9 points, they'd be sitting with 3. That is damaging already, especially when it's a manager like Ten Hag, where they've obviously, given him the benefit of the doubt. That, who knows if they ran out of candidates for the job, but they've trusted in him. They've backed him. They've given him some more money. He's spent quite a bit in the transfers. Obviously, there's a lot going on with Ineos and, who makes the signings and stuff like that. But there's a lot more players than Ten Hag wanted. And if you sit out of a possible 9 before we go into an international break, losing to your main rivals, it's a real big one. On the balance of things, I think this could be quite a cagey game. Sometimes when people say, no, I can see goals galore, lots of goals, Salah's, your Rashfords, Garnachos, Bruno, whoever else is on the pitch, Diaz, Jota's, lots of attackers that have quality to score goals. But just the way both teams will probably set up, both teams will probably start the game, it doesn't have that. For me, I think it's just going to be more cagey. It's going to be one of them where it becomes over slightly like no one wants to twist, stick or twist. No one wants to twist because no one really would rather lose the game. It'll definitely be an interesting match. I'm excited for it. If I was to put a scoreline, which I'm going to do in all of these predictions, I'm going to give a scoreline of 1-1. Next on the list, I'm going to go with another game that is on Sunday, and it is Newcastle versus Spurs. Now, Spurs looked electric the other day, put in, five goals against Everton. And, Everton, we know they looked all over the place, but it was one of them where I said previously, when they're at home, they can play Kulusevski, they can play Maddison, they can play a lot of attackers and go at it. Probably a different story here. Going to Geordie land, the crowd is going to be immense. It's so difficult to get points at Newcastle. And that's half the reason I think they're going to do so well is they don't have European football, so they can focus on these league games. And I think they'll get a lot of points at home. Newcastle, for me, the main issue is away from home, where they get a lot of points at home and then stumble against some, poorer sides away from home where you think they should be getting points. It'll be interesting to see if any business is done. They are, missing out on Gahey today. Gahey's set to stay at Palace. So it's interesting if they're going to get reinforcements at centre-back. I've also heard they're looking for a right winger, and we'll see who they get in. Eddie Howe's made it clear he wants reinforcements. How I think the game will go, I think Newcastle are going to start quick. I think they're going to be high energy, and it's how Spurs can handle that. I spoke, recently about how Spurs play that high line. They have pace in behind, they play a high line, and they try and attack. Could that go wrong, away at Newcastle? I could see it happening, and I think it has previously. I'm not gonna be too harsh on them in terms of the scoreline. I think I'll go 2-1 Newcastle. Next on the list is late on Saturday. We're moving to Saturday. It is West Ham at home to Manchester City. Manchester City, again, looking good. When you go 1-0 down so quickly against Ipswich, and I think they scored, I might be wrong here, but when I looked at it about 4 or 5 minutes later, it was 3-1. They scored 3 goals in about 4 or 5 minutes. It was unbelievable. But that's what good teams do. They don't just get that goal back. They are relentless, and they go and score and take advantage of mistakes when the defence and goalkeeper were going all over the place. They punish you and really hurt you. West Ham, probably one of the better transfer windows. So they've got a lot to look forward to in terms of that squad. It's basically built a lot of quality. I think there's a little bit of gelling that needs to go on there. I think Manchester City are going to go and win this, which actually is going to end up looking like a fairly decent away game, ticked off their list. I'm going to go 2-1 to Manchester City. I think it will again be quite tight. I fear that the gelling isn't quite there for the Hammers. They will, they definitely will threaten City. I think City will have enough quality to win this one. And last on my list are some of the bigger games that I'm going to cover. I will do a brief overview of all the fixtures and give you some scorelines, just because I like doing predictions, and I know you guys like to know where my head's at on some of these results. It's going to be the early kickoff on Saturday. It's Arsenal at home to Brighton. Well, Arsenal have, got a real statement win at the weekend against Aston Villa. I was really, really impressed with the way we conducted ourselves. At times, they could have hurt us. And it's one of them where the game could just twist. Watkins takes that opportunity. There was some real good performances in that midfield for Villa. And at times, I was thinking this is on a knife edge. They could go and do it. But then I was really impressed with the way Arsenal controlled it. Once we got the breakthrough, Trossard coming on, he made a real difference, but controlling and seeing that game out was really, really important. We just look like we don't concede goals, which is very, very key. The disappointing thing from an Arsenal perspective, and many, many fans will probably say that, is, again, it doesn't really look like we're making any signings today. So that would probably only be Moreno and Calafiori. And I just feel that, did we lack an opportunity when we've sold Emil Smith-Rowe, we've sold Vieira, we've sold Nketiah, I think is going today. And, when we need to rotate that squad, who really is still there? It's Nelson, really. Jesus is injured currently. I'm a little bit disappointed about that area. I think it would have been key with European football, like the Champions League. We got drawn against some big, big teams the other day. And you just feel like, do we have a forward line that has enough depth there? I'm not too sure. But, so far, so good. 2 wins out of 2, looking to make it a third. Brighton's an interesting one. Very, very impressive so far. Obviously got a win against Man United, and they battered Everton on the first day. It's an interesting one. It's a team that definitely can hurt you. And, I even felt that we gifted a few opportunities to Wolves in Arsenal's first game. And if that's a Brighton team that's scoring goals, this could prove difficult. I'm going to go with a narrow Arsenal win. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. I just think maybe we'll edge it at home, but definitely a Brighton team that, are really on the up. They are thriving at present and can hurt us. Right, let's finish this with some more predictions. Let's finalise the whole game week. We will be reviewing it potentially when the results. We may do some match day reactions. I'll let you know how it's going and what we are doing in terms of the schedule. But what we're going to fly through is some of the fixtures. So we've got Brentford, Southampton. I'm going to put 3-1 Brentford. Everton versus Bournemouth. Despite Everton looking a little bit all over the place, I think I'm close to saying they might edge this, but I'm going to do 1-1 or 2-2, like a score draw with that one. Ipswich versus Fulham. Quite a big game for both teams, really. I've been quite impressed with Fulham. Ipswich at home, that's where I feel they need to get a lot of points. I'm going to make that another entertaining game. I'm going to go 2-2. Leicester versus Villa. Well, I've been very impressed with Villa despite losing to Arsenal. It's a tough one to call, but I'm going to go 2-0 Villa away from home. Nottingham Forest versus Wolves. Again, a team that gets a lot of points at home, Nottingham Forest. They got some... Yeah, I'm going to give a Forest win here. I'm going to go... Lacking a few... I'm going to go 1-0 Nottingham Forest. And Chelsea Crystal Palace. I mean, Chelsea, probably a little bit harsh of me to not include them into that sort of big game fixtures. It's because really I expect them to win this. It just seems strange for such an inconsistent team. But I saw enough, and I think, again, they're buying more players, getting rid of players. There's a lot to this squad now, a lot of talent. And the fact that Palace, I know Gahey is staying, but the Palace, defensively are, losing Anderson. They could probably really be tested by this Chelsea team. I'm going to go 3-1 Chelsea to finalise it. So there it goes. That is my preview for the upcoming fixtures. I've given you some predictions because you like to see my results and where my thinking is on some of them. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!